I think inflation has peaked. It's somewhat of a technical thing, comparisons year to year and prices, because prices were up a lot in the last year. As you move forward through the second half of this year, the comparisons allow you to say, hey, yes, inflation's up, but it's not up as much as it was. So part of it's technical, but there's also, when you look at other parts of the inflation equation, like commodity prices, you're seeing a lot of those that have rolled over. Lumber was $1,700 a board foot or whatever in the futures market 2 years ago. It's 600 and change today. And it was, it had risen back up into the 12 or 1300 area, not that many months ago, and now is back down. So you're seeing it in certainly lumber, which is a housing related, demand related thing. You've seen some other metals and other commodities come down. It doesn't mean that your prices at the supermarket are going to come down, or that your price on clothes is going to come down, et cetera. That's not what inflation is. Not a price thing. It's the relative change in prices over a broad spectrum of goods and services. I think we're pretty close to the peak if we haven't seen the peak, and I actually think we have seen the peak. I don't know how fast it will come down, and frankly, I don't know that CPI is really the gauge you want to watch. It's a popular one because it gets released and everybody sees it, but there's the Fed watches the consumer deflator index, et cetera. I think we will see that we're going to roll over, and it's just the beginnings of that rollover will have an impact on market participants, I think, in a big way too. So, and by the way, like I said, we may be in recession already, and I think we will be this year. I think this recession morphs into something much worse as we go through next year. So I'm calling for a global bust, and have been for a long time, as how this cycle will end. The reason it turns from just an ordinary recession to something much worse is because we've got debt and derivative levels at levels never in history. I mean, we're off the charts in terms of 300 trillion in debt across the globe, and that's risen just in the pandemic from 250 trillion to 300 trillion. A 50 trillion jump in a couple of years is just a massive amount of debt. And derivatives are in the quadrillions in terms of notional value of derivatives. As I say, debt is the leverage on the economy, and derivatives are the leverage on the market. And what that does when you roll over and you're heading down in both the economy and the markets, what that does is exacerbate it in a big way. So I fully expect a huge financial crisis next year. This to be, the worst downturn economically in the post-World War II era. So I'm not a Pollyanna when I'm talking about this run in the stock market. It's not because I think things are, hunky-dory. It's because you have everybody positioned for something right now that's not going to happen right now, meaning more tightening. And I think so you get people running back. And then I think the Fed, if you get the market up to 6,000 and NASDAQ to 20,000, given that Powell has bought into Dudley's views on stock market and needing that being a sign of excess in terms of financial side, you can only imagine that whatever pivot they do this summer, they're going to pivot back and say, whoops, maybe we pivoted too soon. We're going back to the tight side. So I think, it's not a straight line. It's a little convoluted, but I do think that's what you're going to see, is that ultimately it's not that this, cycle it's not that the bad news is all over and behind us once we rally. It's just that it's not straight from here. We're going to go to new highs, and then I'm calling for an 80% bear market from those highs. So I think people are just premature in thinking the bust is now.
Before we continue, help us clicking that YouTube like button and subscribe now to our channel. This shows the algorithm that you valued this information, and it helps us spread that message. Sharing is caring. And now, let's continue.
I have bad news for you. If you're not rich by now, you're screwed. And if you're in debt, you're even double screwed. How so, you might wonder? Well, the sad truth is that you're working your whole life to make someone else rich. The mega corporations, the banks, the politicians, everyone is getting richer. They get your money. And what is even worse, they get your time, they get your life. You are not even in a rat race, you're in a financial prison. But what could a solution for you look like? Honestly, I don't know, but I know what a solution for me would look like. It's very simple. I use whatever money I have and I multiply it with 1,000. This could make my life much easier and probably yours as well. If you have $1,000 available and multiply this with 1,000, I believe that this could solve some financial issue for the one or the other. Of course, if you're ugly, you would have to multiply it with much more than 1,000. My name is Marco Stan, and this is what I decided to do. I decided to 1000x my money. This is not a joke. I know what you may be thinking. What is this guy talking about? How should this work? This is not possible. Well, I made a detailed video where I laid out my plan. And some clever folks might even want to look at this plan and copy it and do exactly what I do. This is just a little hint on the side. You have two options. You leave, you forget what you have seen. You do whatever you're doing and you hope that somehow you get some other results. Good luck with that. Or you click the link below the video. You enter your email address because I'm not showing this to everybody. You at least watch my video on how I plan to 1000x my money. The choice is yours. Make the right choice. Join me. See what a different future you could have. See at least how I intend, how I plan to do the 1000x. So click on the link below, enter your email address, and I see you on the other side. Your Marco Stan.